All right. Hello, Wayzata West History Day scholars. We are going to talk today about selecting quality images and visuals for your project. First of all, quality images and visuals need to match and support your text or script. So think about what you're saying in each part of your text or script and look up pictures and images that would correspond. You want them to be powerful and show action, especially for your main visual, which will go with your thesis. You don't want something boring like a headshot of a person. You want to include variety. You don't want to just have all pictures or photos. You want to think about documents, newspaper headlines, political cartoons, magazine covers, letters, etc. And you can also think of video clips as images, and those work really well when it fits, and they can come from documentaries, newsreels, government films, etc. And video clips are really possible with any type of project. Remember, when using images and visuals, that you should add all of them to Noodle Tools. Tag them as tertiary if you're only using the image from that site and you're not getting any other content. If you do find an image on just a simple Google search, you do want to go to the original website to find it, and then cite it from there rather than cite it from the Google search. We need to know where it is originally from. And you should add a short annotation. It doesn't have to be as long as your major sources, but just a quick citation saying what image you found from that particular site. All right, so finding and citing images. One suggestion we have is to use the image sites that we have put on Canvas under the research button to find quality sources that contain many images rather than just doing a Google search on images. If you find a source where you use both the information from the text of the source and you use images, you do only need to cite it once, either in your primary or secondary bibliography, wherever it fits. And you should mention in your annotation both the information that you found and the pictures that you used. You do need to credit images in your project with the title, the date, and where you found it. This does not count in your word limit. You are not, however, required to caption pictures. If you do, this will count in your word limit unless it's just a brief description, such as Alice Paul. You should also add to your Noodle Toodles again with an annotation that describes the image, like we said before. Okay, visual sources are cited in a similar manner. You want to mention the content, who or what was in the picture, give a date if available, and where you found the image. This has to be done on your exhibit or on your website directly below or to the side of your picture. Please note that Google and other search engines are not viable sources. That's why we want you to search and find where it originally came from. Because saying you got your picture from Google is like saying you got your quote from a library. Just like you need to tell us which book your quote came from in the library, you also need to tell us which website made this image available to you. You see here in the pictures the differences between the two. The first picture, the citation is required. It doesn't count towards the word limit. But in the second, you're going to see a caption, and that caption does count towards the word limit because it shows analysis and interpretation. All right, so let's talk about what sorts of images you should look for. First of all, you want quality images and visuals to match and support your text and script. Let's say you were doing your project on the bonus march, which occurred during the Great Depression, where World War I veterans who had been promised a bonus after the war ended wanted to get it early because they were suffering during the Great Depression. Okay, and in your causes build-up textbook, you're talking about how many World War I veterans came to Washington, D.C. to get their bonus. If you're saying that, which photo fits best? I'll give you a second to think. All right, I would say the one on the right is best because you're talking many vets. That shows a lot of vets on the train rather than just a few in the left picture. Next, quality images and visuals again need to match and support your text or script. So if your main information text box is about gaining the government's attention, which photo is best? Probably the one on the left, because you see them protesting outside the Capitol, which would represent the government. Okay, for this one, let's say you have a text box on your effects, and it's about the bonus army being forcibly removed by MacArthur. All right, although MacArthur is pictured on the left, and we have Herbert Hoover on the right, both of which play a role in this, the middle picture would be the best because it's showing how they're being forcibly removed. Okay, you also want your images to be powerful and show action, especially for the thesis. If your thesis talks about the forcible removal of the bonus army as a tragedy and a turning point in public opinion on President Hoover and hurt his chances at re-election, which photo is best? Probably the one on the right, because again, this is showing forcible removal and it's showing action, where the one on the left is not. Okay, again, if this was a thesis photo, to match and show action, you'd probably pick the picture on the left, because again, that is showing them being forcibly removed. Now, if you had to narrow it down between the two, you'd have to decide which one is most powerful. I probably would go with the one on the left because that really shows them engaging with each other, and it shows that direct action. All right, now quality and images and visuals should also include a variety of different items. So for instance, here's some documents that you might use. Those make great visuals. You could also use things like newspaper headlines or political cartoons or maps. One final reminder, images and visuals need to match the text or the script, but also the quotes. All parts should match and work together. So if you had a text box on the bonus army's travel and eventual arrival in Washington, D.C., you might show this picture of what it looked like in D.C. and use this quote, "I was horrified to see the rundown nature of our own Hooverville." Evelyn Goodwife describing the scene as the bonus army first entered Washington, encamped on the outskirts of Washington, D.C., June 2nd, 1932. And that should do it. Thanks for listening.